Brian's camera working. Cam was in, now he's out. I don't know. I'll figure it out. Anyway, so
Hey,
today we're talking about building wealth beyond your commission checks. So we've yeah, we all have been selling houses for a long time, right? That's been what everybody does here. Now the goal is how do we sell a lot of homes and how do you make money aside from that? So we'll just go through each of you guys really quick and just kind of see what what you guys have done. There you are, Cam. Yeah. Hey,
sorry
Brian
about being late,
Moses,
guys.
if you could go out and come back in. I'm not sure why your camera's not working there. Um, but anyways, so we'll go ahead and we'll start with uh, Mr. Beard since he's obviously a guest on our panel today. I don't know how you got on the panel today, but hi, Tim. Um, so what are you doing, Tim, to, you sell a lot of houses, you're a rock star in this in the real estate world. How do you what are you doing outside of real estate to build your wealth?
Yeah. So I mean, I've got a financial planner, and so right now we've been really focused on just doing tax advantage accounts. So I think it's like a SEP or a solo 401k. So we have that set up, and we maximize contributions to that. The other thing was I went on a journey 2 years ago because 2021 was my first like really big breakout year, and I made a lot of money, and I spent every penny living. It was an amazing year. Um, did didn't go into any debt, but I mean, if I made it, I spent it, and started 2022 over just spinning the hamster wheel again. And so this year I made well, 2025, I had a really big year and paid off all my personal debt. So student loans, truck. The only thing that my wife and I have now is our house, and we've got a fairly low, it's like 50% paid off. So we are actively discussing of, do we want to continue just to pay down our house and be a debt-free family? Or if I follow the advice of my financial planner, we can keep that 4% interest rate on the house and then invest in other assets. But it's all about freedom, now growing a family. It's all about how do we just set ourselves up to enjoy life, because making money is a ton of fun, but spending time with your friends, building relationships, if you have margin in your life, oftentimes it's funny how that extra round of golf leads to another two or three deals. That extra day fishing on the river leads to another listing. I just got 3 listings from fly fishing. And so, by being debt free, that's opening our family up just to have more opportunities to go out and build relationships, which is really important to us.
Yeah, and I think you probably noticed the only thing that's what I teach these days. I teach freedom to entrepreneurs and real estate brokers, real estate people, because ultimately you can bust your ass, which I've done for my entire life up until a few years ago, and wake up one day and realize you missed your entire life. And that's the majority of people. So it's so important to when you make, and by the way, I am like you to the hilt, Tim, as far as spending money. I spend all my money because I'm gonna die soon and I don't really give a shit. Uh, um, and so, but where does that come? It actually comes from my parents dying at 58 and 59 years old. And so I want to make sure that there's nothing left unsaid, that nothing left undone that I want to do. And luckily, with most people are on EXP, luckily with 2,100 agents in EXP, even if I stop, if I spend every penny I make, I still have income coming in, so it doesn't matter. Um, awesome, good stuff. Craig, what are you doing these days to with all the billions of dollars that you're making between your celebrity TV show now that you're making
Sure,
$2 million a
sure,
year from, and yeah.
sure. Yeah. Bottom line is, it's not a matter of what you make, it's what you keep. Um, After 36 years in this business, I've had the ups, I've been down, I've been a Frank Sinatra over and out and other above. And the bottom line is, you know your strengths, you know your weaknesses. I have, honest to God, followed sparkly things too long when I was younger, or in the middle part of my age. When I was young, I was killing it, and then I followed sparkly things, and I let people drag me down their rabbit hole in saying to go do things. I bought restaurants, I bought franchises, I've lost 400,000 in 2 years. I've lost 600,000 in another 2 years. So yeah, you don't want to do that. There's a great book. It's called The Richest Man in Babylon. Invest with people that know how to invest in what they do. Do not invest with a plumber to buy diamonds. Know what you know your role. You coach other people on buying real estate. Buy real estate. Buy real estate. Even if you don't have the income spreadsheet to show you can buy it, one of the biggest things we're out there doing right now is pushing DSCR loans. DSCR loans, they're debt to service on the property. You can have somebody that has a lot of money. I'm going to say not a lot of, that has money that got left maybe 75, 100, $200,000. They don't want to put it in the stock market. They want to buy real estate, but they don't financially qualify for it. But by using a DSCR loan, the property does on potential rental income of a lease or the rental lease. And it's 20 to 25% down. They're 30-year notes. All right. But the property qualifies. You need to have a credit score of over 660, but the property qualifies. You can put it in a company, a property name, LLC, or however your account wants you to do it, but you got to personally sign for it. But you can buy multitudes of those. They don't count against your income. So if you're in a business that you've accumulated money or you have money and you don't have a lot of the ability to show that you have the liquidity to carry that debt, do DSCR loans. So we're huge out pushing it this year doing that. We're also, and then that's also with myself. Hardest thing is when you're self-employed and you've got 5 or 6 different companies going and showing the tax returns, it's a pain in the ass to get approved. DSCR loans are the way to do it. So don't make an excuse. Put your money aside, just like Tim said. There's a great guy, Matt Palmer. He's been on the show before. If you want to figure out how to build wealth and how to take profit, he's a great coach. He's a minimal cost to it. I'll put his link and his information down here for you to get to it, or just text me. I'll put my number. I'll send you his link. He can help you out, literally showing you how every check comes in, hits an account, and it goes, it automatically comes out of your account. Some you can get and some you can't. And it goes to where it needs to be. Out of sight, out of mind. If you're in EXP and you're not buying stock, you're 5% each month at 5% below market, you are silly. You're silly. You can sell it the next day for instantly 5% more. But you might as well invest yourself. Get it out of sight, out of mind. If you were with another company, you were paying that money automatically. I've been at EXP now 5 years. I've got over 15,000 shares. Some awarded to me and some purchased through my months. But guess what? When I was running my own company, my own business, I did not have that there. So there's a couple $100,000 of stock sitting out there that out of sight, out of mind, I know that I believe in my own company where I'm at, where I'm working. So take it off the top. Pay yourself first. Number one rule, there's a gentleman by the name of Alan Dom, one of the biggest, he's a billionaire. He's been caught on the show Hard Money, Hard Knocks Money, whatever it is. They stop billionaires on the side of the street. He goes, what the line of the game is, we grow old too fast and wise too late. Grow old too fast and wise too late. Stop not doing the wise stuff now. Pay yourself first, pay everybody else second. Pay yourself first, pay your taxes second, pay everything else later. Okay? Don't ever get into a fight with the IRS. Been there, done that. Tim knows that one if you haven't paid it. Brian Moses, who's been on this call, knows that. Been there, done that in the past. Pay them taxes. You don't even want to be on their radar. But make a plan to do them and do it right. And don't wait until the next year of your settlements to try to figure out how you do financial planning. You should have an accountant that's doing your bookkeeping. You should have all your stuff in line that by October, November, you have a projection of where you're at and where you should be investing. That's what we've done. We revamped our whole life in the past 5 years. I've gotten rid of all my business partners. So you ask about how to build wealth. Do not divide yourself among other partners that drain your energy. I did for years. Know your lane, stay in it, go 100 miles an hour. Full throttle, your way, not anybody else's way. That's how you're going to build wealth. And stay to the plan and constantly check it. Because if you're not checking it, you're going to go askew. You're like, you can't go to the moon if you're not constantly checking the coordinates. So constantly check it. Have people around you that are good at what they do, which is having a financial advisor. Trust me, it sucks when you got to revamp after you lose money with other people. So don't do it. Start, if you're young, everybody, listen to the wiseness of somebody who grows old faster and you where you're younger. That's my advice to you. I'll put Matt's in there. That's what I'm doing. That's what we're doing. That's what I'm teaching my sons in real estate. We're pushing those DSCR loans and making a ton of people financially. If you don't have those price properties in your area, call me in Philly. We have them. We have management companies will manage them and they send the money to you.
Awesome.
I know.
Love it. And you know, it's funny. And maybe you know this because I don't know this, but because Pete was telling me about it, and I'm, you know, I listen to about 20% of what comes into my ears, right? Um, but I believe now with those type of properties, so you can write off the entire properties now, correct? The first year. They took away the depreciation that you can do it first year now, up to a certain amount of dollar figures. So you can get like basically buy a property for free. And again, I wish Pete could be on today, but he's on an airplane right now, so he can't do that.
I'm
But I
not an
want to have him.
accountant. I'd ask your accountant, but I don't know that exactly. But I would definitely get out of judgment into curiosity about that, Mitch. I definitely. Also, using your 401k, there's a great company that we have in our area called Camaplan. You can use your 401k to buy properties, and they can manage it through their stuff. I can connect you. They do anywhere in the United States. So that's another thing that you want to look at. And again, another way of getting clients to sell properties today because they're not sure what they want to buy in their portfolio of doing a 1031 and not paying taxes. I have a guy who does it around the country also. He does Delaware statutory trusts. You can sell the property as a 1031 exchange, put the money into the statutory trust, let it sit for 3 to 4 years. You get income that you're allowed to use. Plus, they usually give you a reward on the end because it's buying into a project. It's kind of like a RIT. But then you can ultimately still go use that at a later date on a 1031 if you ever decide to take it out of there. So there's some ideas, just ways to go to other clients that have owned buildings that don't want to go into a 1031, that also want the income, that are tired of the 4 T's of taxes, tenants, toilets, and Texas. So there you go.
Good stuff. Maddie, what do you got, bud?
Let's see. Well, I'll tell you an interesting story. So years ago, I've been in real estate now 26 years. And I had a client one time and he said to me, this was long, probably 50, maybe 15, 20 years ago. And he saw that he said, you know, I see you. He says, I see you, I see all your ads on TV and I see you running around. He said, let me give you some advice. The armored car does not follow the hearse. He said, and I sat there for a second. The armored car does not follow the hearse. He's like, you can't take it with you. He said, you need to slow down. You need to slow down and enjoy yourself a little bit more. You don't need to work so hard. So that was really good advice. And that always kind of stuck with me. And now that I'm getting older, I'm super young. I'm only 57, but I'm starting to see people, like you said, Mitch, just start to drop, like people are dying. And it really does make you think. So, you know, I think that there are a lot of great things that I'm a big fan of, as you said, Lurchie, paying yourself, doing things that are important. And to that end, back in 2018, I took basically a year off from real estate and did an amazing thing where I took my entire family around the world for an extended trip, which was an incredible investment in our family and our kids. But as far as things to invest in, I would say it's real estate is the number one thing. You know, you should buy real estate when you can, and the key is to pay it off. It's not to necessarily flip it. It's to hold it and let it appreciate. You guys mentioned a 401k. You can borrow, I believe it's up to 50 grand or 50% of your 401k to use it to buy real estate. And we just had a showing on one of our very expensive listings the other day from a kid who looked like he was about 12 years old, who's apparently a gazillionaire from crypto. he was looking at a $7 million house. He looked like he had just rolled out of bed and was maybe in about ninth grade. And he was looking at a $7 million house. After we showed it to him, we checked with his agent, and the agent said, well, he's changed his search parameters. He can go up to 35 million. So apparently we should all be investing in crypto. I don't really know too much about it, but if you talk to Jeff Willems, he'll tell you to buy XRP. But I think there's a lot to be said. We've all had, I think anybody that's been in this business for a long time, because we're self-employed, a lot of us have had tax issues over the years, right? Because you don't save enough money to pay all your taxes at the end, in April, et cetera. So I think the best lesson is to invest in real estate and to align with a good accountant or financial planner. I remember when I first started making a little bit of money in real estate and I'd go do my taxes, I couldn't believe how much I had to pay in taxes. And I remember saying to my accountant, there's got to be something I can be doing to minimize my tax liability. And she said, yeah, you can make less money. So that was not the right, I don't think that was the right answer. So I didn't stay with that accountant, but there are definitely things that you can do. And, minimizing your taxes is critical, but you can do that by owning rental properties. So I think that's the best thing to do, I would say.
Sorry. Yeah.
Can I ask one question before I'm off? And this is for Mitch and for Cameron. On the West Coast and the East Coast of Florida, where you guys are, can you tell me where is the market right now? Like, how much is it down or how much is it up, et cetera? I'm kind of curious because I know it's very different. East Coast is fine.
Well, it depends on where you are, right? We have East Coast is a big piece of land, right?
Well, where you are,
I'm in the Space Center. I'm in the Space Center, Brevard County, Melbourne, Cocoa Beach. We're down about 6% over last year.
So 6% off the peak.
10% off the peak.
10% off the peak.
Yeah, not too shabby. Not too shabby. Yeah, we the Space Center. They're talking about our area being the next Silicon Valley. So there's a ton of opportunity. You can still buy locally here. I'll give you an example. My house is worth about 1.2 when we finish it sometime next month. Yay! Finally, I get to go home after a year. Be worth about 1.2. If you move that to Fort Lauderdale, it's 6 or 8.
Wow, 6 or 8 million. Wow.
Well, yeah. So what happens is you'll find is we're probably us, Daytona, New Smyrna, this little corridor here, Central East Coast. Probably the best place to invest right now. Like you can buy a really nice riverfront property that 5,000 square feet on the river for 3 to 4 million. Again, Miami, it's 20 million. Fort Lauderdale is 25 million. We're headed there.
Interesting. All right. How about you, Cameron?
We are at 2017 prices right now. So if you look across the board, our prices are at 2017. We're about 40% from the peak. It is Armageddon. Everyone that I looked at, so I'm showing some homes to some friends that are first-time home buyers in that 350 price point. Every home I show is underwater. Every single one. 100% of homes they bought in 2018, 19, 20, 21, or 22, they're listed at their sales price right now. And they're sitting.
So they're all going to be short sales or foreclosures if they can't do a short sale. Is there anybody doing tons of short sales right now is there a big short sale agent in?
There's trying, but everyone is still hoping and praying that the market fixes itself. We have a huge separation right now because like Craig was saying, in 2019, when I did the biggest year we did down here was all DSCR, 100%. I would say 85% were DSCR investor loans. The Airbnb market down here is completely deflated. So there's no income to be made from Airbnbs. Those investors own dozens of these properties. And that's the biggest scares. What are all of these small time investors? They're not institutionalized investors, but small time. What are they going to do in another about 12, 14 months? Because they're running out of money. They're all running out of money. They're panicking. They're trying to figure out how to get, offload these houses. They don't want to short sale them because I don't think they're going to be allowed to short sale them because they illegally bought them with saying that they were going to be single family homes and they did all kinds of
Oh.
weird shit when they purchased
said
it,
they
just
were-
trying to get,
Because
Go
they
ahead.
said they were going to be owner occupied, in other words, you mean?
some of them.
Yeah.
I would say the majority of lenders that were doing those programs and the buyers were signing things that they didn't know what the lenders were having them sign, right? The lender would be happy to give
Yeah.
them money, but they didn't know the details. And now that they're finding out the details because they're having to try to get out of them, they're realizing that they're not just in a easy exit type home thing. They're in a real big problem. So here in Southwest, so I'm in Naples up to Punta Gorda. Our biggest area was called Cape Coral. It was an area that was a lot like the Space Coast there, where during COVID, it was the single largest growth in terms of price neighborhoods and communities in the entire country. So we went up, we skyrocketed because of the DSCR programs, because everyone was renting them, Airbnb-ing them. Now that all ended, we are going through the exact opposite, and it's tough. I mean, everyone is underwater. I have not seen a home that was under like $1 million that they didn't buy in 1994, but it recently that's listed right now that isn't real close to being just break even, or the sellers are even gonna have to come to closing with cash.
Well, it'll be really interesting to see. I did probably 1,000 short sales here in Southern California between 2006 and 2009. I made myself the short sale king. And the interesting thing was that initially, like 2006, we could not get short sales approved because the banks were very,
Stupid.
I guess, arrogant would be the word. And they'd be like, we don't care. We're not doing that. We'll just foreclose. We'll take it back. We don't care. And then once they got overwhelmed with the number of, foreclosures, then they suddenly, around 2007, 2008, boy, they really wanted to do those short sales, right? And the government got involved. So I wouldn't be surprised if right now in Florida, the banks are like,
What they did this time,
ridiculous price. Yeah.
Matt, what they did this time is you're spot on. And we went through that too, right? Remember, I got my license in 08. My parents' team, they dominated during that short sale. That's literally how they had success, is they did the short sale thing. The difference is this time the banks, instead of being ignorant or stupid, I say, and saying, nah, we weren't going to short sell. We're not even going to look at them. We're not going to approve them. This time they said, hey guys, guess what? We have a better program for you. And this is going to solve all your problems. We're going to defer your payments. And they've been deferring people's payments for 2 years now.
Wow.
And now because they deferred payments, they can't get insurance. They can't get anything. Their whole property is locked down because they accepted a payment deferral by the banks, which hurts the consumer. It hurts the owner because everything goes up. The interest rates go up. It's terrible. And that's what the banks did. Why? It doesn't make any sense to me either, because the bank should know that the market is in a downward trend. It's not going to be quick reversing. There's no COVID 2.0 that's going to shake up the market and close down New York City.
But they must have thought that, right? They must have thought that if they wait a little while, the markets will come back a little bit,
I think they did. And I think they're still trying. I mean, obviously, we all know that the president the other day did $200 billion in treasury bond notes. Awesome. Fantastic. Those are all the things that I think these builders, these banks, everybody are hoping and praying for, that there's going to be some kind of, realignment. It's going to be I mean, you guys should all, you want to know what to do with your money here in about 12 months, come down to Southwest Florida and let's get rich. That's what I did. That's what I did with my biggest investor in 2012. We bought 180 units. He sold them during COVID he made like quadruple the money on every single house. It was the same thing. It's just,
so is inventory sky high in your area?
It was prior to November. We had like 13, 14 months of inventory, which is crazy for us right now. Since November is our season, so we are hyper seasonal. I'm sorry to take this talk off.
No, good.
Sorry to go off track here, you guys, but we are hyper seasonal down here. And our season is obviously during the cold months. This year specifically has been super cold up north. People are coming down here in droves. We are busier than heck. And I would actually say right now, our prices are actually going up a little bit during this season because interest rates have come down. We have a ton of buying opportunity. Everybody that's been coming down through COVID with these super crazy purchase numbers are going, wow, look at this great deal on this house. It's back to 2021 prices. Wow. And they're making offers and they're purchasing. So our inventory has come down a little bit this season in the last couple months. As soon as this season ends, as is typical in our market, our inventory levels go up about 50%. So we're going to see another surge once everyone leaves. a lot of people that own homes down here, when they go back up north, they list their home for sale before they leave. So that's a huge reason why we have an influx of property listings right before the end of season. So right now we've stabilized because prices are down, rates are down, people are here. My opinion though is that as the end of the season comes, we're just going to get back into that trickle down of like 1 to 2% a month and keep flowing.
All right, let's get back on track.
Yes, yes.
Back on the horse.
Now that you guys know where to invest your money, go over to Fort Myers.
Well, I
area
think
with
it is
Pam and invest
timely
all your
'cause
money.
to Matt's point, I think that's a very timely conversation because that's what people do. You invest where everyone's running from, right?
Yes.
Like, it's the typical advice that you would hear from most wealthy people. Like you don't do what everybody else is doing. You do the opposite. But go ahead. I don't want to.
You're good.
Go for it, Randy.
Oh, okay.
Um,
I'll
Yeah,
I'll add a
Randy, since you're there, since you're talking, go ahead. Just take
I'll add a couple things. So one of the things that I actually ended up doing personally last year, I got connected with actually a investment company that does loans, right? DSCR loans, hard money loans, all that private money. And I really liked them. So I decided to actually partner with them and become one of their account executives, aka loan officers. Why would I do that? Well, it's my sphere. Many of you guys know if you've been listening and coming to these, is that my sphere is investors. Like a lot of the agents that are even on my team nationally are investors first, agents second, right? They don't really sell too many traditional properties with buyers and sellers, right? I obviously I have a good amount of those with Brian as well. However, to be honest, my majority of influence is in the investor environment because I am an investor. I was an investor first, realtor second. So that was, to me, was a perfect alignment of saying, hey, what if I just open up a funding division so I can service the same clientele with a product that they already are using and going to somebody like Craig Lurch just mentioned, like his guy, right? His clientele, let's say if it's an investor, he might be sending to Joe. Well, what if my clientele is investors and then they will do the loan with me also, right? So now I've actually been I've been learning, like basically getting a master's degree in lending, but all non-owner occupant loans, right? DSCR loans, flip loans, new construction loans. I've closed about 3 million already in loans, learned a ton, and I got another 3 million in the pipeline. And why am I sharing this? Because think about whatever you're doing already, whatever is your sphere, your niche, what else can you add as a vertical that can maybe potentially increase your ROI, right? Which obviously can lead to wealth building, right? Now, these are all active income activities, right? So as agents, we sell houses, that's active income. Doing a loan, that's active income. Now you got to be smart and think about, okay, now that I have extra active income, what am I doing What am I doing with the income to create passive income, as I also do what you guys were talking about, tax strategy to reduce your tax burden, right? So one of the things you could consider doing, like I had, couple of years ago, I had a year that was a bit, in a good way over the top. So I took the money and I invested into a syndication that was in the RV park space, okay? And this is right when we had the depreciation laws still in our favor, and I know they just came back. And to, I believe, Matt's point, or maybe Mitch brought this up, with that investment, the way that investment is structured, and because it's an RV park, I was able to take 120% of my investment as a write-off that year, right? I depreciated every single thing, and I didn't do any of the work, right? I didn't do the paperwork for the depreciation study and all that. It was the syndicate, right? And the operators of the syndicate that did it. And then at the end of the year, I literally received 120% of what I invested, and I was able to write it off against my income, reducing my tax burden. And the cool thing about us as agents, we are a real estate professional. So we can actually take that loss and literally take it against your active income, where most people will not be able to do unless they are real estate professional classified by the IRS. And good news is we are, if you're actively selling real estate as an agent, we have these huge advantages, right? So now be careful with syndications because there are some shady operators like in any industry, right? So this is somebody I personally knew, I felt very comfortable with, and that's how I was able to, reduce my tax burden and at the same time build passive income, right? I still have that money sitting in that investment to this day, and I actually invested into another syndicate after that as well the following year. So that's kind of how I would think about it, and that's how I've been doing it over the last, I would say, 4-5 months. Is I added another vertical that serves the same clientele that I deal with on a daily basis, which will increases my active income, which then allows me to take that and do investments into things like syndications. I personally rather do syndications right now than single family homes. I've done that. You have to buy a ton of them, and if you buy only a few, it can backfire potentially. So to me, with my family, small kids, I personally rather do syndications. They're really more hands-off, right? I don't have to change toilets or nothing, right? In that case. So nothing against them. I think they're a great vehicle, right? Single family homes. But that's kind of how I'm doing it right now as we speak. So
Cool, good stuff. Yeah, and I just don't like toilets either. I prefer trees. Uh, Brian, you're up, Brian.
Okay. Well, Tim and Matt and Craig all mentioned some things that I've done too. You're in this business for a long time and you run and gun and you kill it. And then you also kill it in life. And then you look back and you're like, oh, that caught up to me really quick. So I've learned a few things by my clients themselves. I've been fortunate to sell homes to some very successful people, and you learn strategies from them in your transactions. I've learned, like loopholes in 1031 exchange deals in California. Had a girl who inherited a 10-unit apartment complex, didn't want to be a landlord. She just wanted to live in a luxury neighborhood. So her tax strategist worked with me, and what we did was we offloaded her 10-unit apartment complex. She got about $1.5 million from her mom and dad when they passed away in her estate. She parked it into a luxury neighborhood called Rancho Santa Fe and a home in the Del Mar Country Club, pretty much paid cash for it, and leased it for 6 months. And the tenants moved out. And she said, oh my God, I need to move in there because I can't afford to have this negative on my books. So she converted that leased property into a principal residence, sold her principal residence. She took her $250,000 gain from the tax-free and parked that in the bank and moved into what used to be the income from a 10-unit apartment complex, which is now her private residence. She washed it all and she lives in it. Great concept. I learned that. I can teach that. I just said it. I say it enough to a lot of clients. Next thing you know, I start doing 1031 exchanges. I've done enough of them to be dangerous. So I do them. Okay. So that's kind of what I like to do and show people how to take advantage. Got a great mentors in Randy. And when I met Randy, I was managing and in a Berkshire Hathaway office building and training agents. Warren Buffett, you know what he didn't do? He never gave me stock. He kept it all and left it out. What sold me on EXP was very simple. I can do what I love to do and earn stock. I love that. Now I've burned through some of my stock. I know Mitch, you mentioned, or Craig, you had a lot. I've gone up and down in it. I invest in it. I like the concept of having stock, earning stock, and being an owner in my decisions. I love that. So passive income is definitely something that I'm partial to. Another thing that I've done is, investing in real estate and not selling it. You just hold it, especially in California. I'm building a legacy for my grandkids. One of the things I'm going to do is I'm going to have enough real estate ownership to watch it go from a DSC. I've got a DSCR loan on a wedding venue in Southern California. My wife took an SBA loan for her business and parked $500,000 of cash into a renovation project. and now it's on the market for 1.7 million because it converted from a residential property to an Airbnb to a wedding venue. Just learned that, by trial and error. We bought a home in Livingston, Montana during COVID, got lucky, paid 390,000 for a property that's worth 800,000 now, and we've never made a mortgage payment on that house because the TV show Yellowstone keeps sending all kinds of tourists to Montana and they want to stay in our Airbnb. We can't even stay in our own home. That's just a favor of God, honestly. But so these are the things that, I'm investing in. A legacy for my kids. The houses are going to be left behind. My kids are going to be fine. My kids are successful kids anyway, so they don't need my money, but I want to leave my grandkids something because who knows the future of this country right now. Couple other things. I think, Matt, you mentioned, I have clients who tell me about these defined benefit plans where they're retiring with very good retirement accounts in 40, and you can lend your kids 50, 100,000, 200,000 to buy real estate with it. You get a monthly income from the defined benefit program by loaning your kids their down payment money. You build wealth with them in equity and homes, but it also gets paid back if you want to pay it back, or by them just basically paying you what the interest is, and you can put it back in there. So if you have a good, financial advisor, you might want to look into those. Randy and I have an LLC. I have an LLC on our properties. My S corp for my company pays all of my real estate bills. So if you're not incorporated, it's a great way to just zero out most of your expenses, all your marketing fees, your $85 a month for EXP. Everything is a write-off. If you're doing that already, that's fine. But if you incorporate, I think you'll benefit a little bit more from being a corporation. I moved my corporation out of California up to Montana. They don't have sales tax there. You go into a store to eat a steak or a restaurant or whatever, it's $35. It's $35. There's no tax. There's nothing. So we save a lot of money. And then the other thing I did was I invested in my marriage and myself more than anything. I wanted to get better at this craft, and this real estate business, if you build it right, will feed you a book of business for life if you just stay in touch with your clients. That's my biggest investment, is my business and my wife's business. And Randy will tell you, I do not stay home very often. I travel a lot. I drove 7,500 miles in September alone, driving my wife's business from the Poconos to Texas to Arizona to, I'll be in Florida in 2 weeks, putting on a marathon in the Florida Keys. And my wife built this massive, awesome business. And all I did was invest in her with all my time. And she is a beast in the marketplace, in the running world. And so if you have a family member and you like what they do and you're passionate with them and you jump into their business, her business has doubled and tripled and quadrupled over the last 10 years by just me not being there for any other reason, but just to support her so she doesn't have to pay people to drive her company around the country. I do it for her because I can live in the cloud with EXP. So I'm always working no matter where I am. I love it. But that's what I'm doing. I don't know if there was anything in there for anybody because it wasn't like I'm like crushing it like a Warren Buffett investor. But a little bit here, a little bit there. Buy gold if you have extra money. Gold is never going to fail you. It's done very well for most of our investors. And so keep just kind of sniffing around. But the more you have here and the more you have there and a little bit here. And the last thing, Randy and I just sold a home. People did a 1031 exchange out of a condo in Hawaii.
Yeah, I was just going to say that, Brian, yeah, we literally, so I'm going to share with you guys the company. So go ahead, say what that.
Okay.
story is.
So they just called us for strategies. And I just brought up the fact that we know of a passive income real estate strategy that if you don't even want to know your tenants, you don't want to have to do anything. You just want to walk to your mailbox every month and pick up a check. We turned them on to a company, and Randy's going to share that company with you. They took a 1031 exchange their accommodator account, and they funded and purchased 5 homes that they've never seen and they probably never will see. And they're making what we call mailbox money, passive income. And those properties will be paid for free and clear by the tenants renting them. And those will be homes that they could put in their kids' names, their trust name, whatever they want to do. They can sell them. They can combine them. They can buy an apartment. You can do whatever you want because they're your properties, and you have a loan on them or you cash them out. I don't even know what our clients did. I don't know how big the condo was they sold, but Randy, do you know, did they cash them out or did they
Yeah,
get
so
5
they had 1.3 million to work with, and they contacted us to potentially look in California. So we kind of went down that rabbit hole a little bit. But then I said with Brian, we're like, hey, have you considered buying single family homes, maybe a few of them instead of maybe one in Southern California? What if you buy 5 or 6 in other parts of the country? And I personally know the owners of this company. I've bought houses from them years ago. We've turned hundreds, if not thousands, of our investor educational students over the years to this company. So from that standpoint, I trust them. They're privately owned. So we turned them to that company. And next thing you know, the representative from the company is like, hey, they're buying 5 houses. They're on the contract. This is the company. I just shared it. It's REI Nation. Some of you might have heard of them. They started out of Memphis, Tennessee. They used to be called Memphis Invest, and then they started expanding into other states over the last few years. Again, it's family owned, operated. I know the owners, great people, and they're beasts in just finding properties, renovating them, managing them. So it's turnkey, right? Turnkey for investors. And like Brian said, our client's never going to see these houses. They could if they want to. I haven't seen any of my rental properties ever that I've owned. But what's cool is that they gave us $1,500 per house. So Brian and I just got a check for $7,500, right? For just connecting our client with this company, we got $7,500 check that just came to EXP that we're getting paid on. Just another way, just connecting people within your sphere and the people and the companies, right? So I'll stop there.
And the last thing, sorry, become an accredited investor. And if you don't know what that is, just look it up and make it one of your goals. So if you're an accredited investor, you're going to get opportunities to invest in things that you would normally not be able to invest in. You might get a lump sum from an inheritance. You have $100,000. What am I going to do with it? If you're an accredited investor, you're going to be able to invest that money into, as an example, a syndication or what they call a safe harbor. And a safe harbor is money that you have that you can put into a safe harbor as a 1031 exchange, and everything it earns is growing at a taxable rate. But if it's in their safe and it's put in as an accredited investor investment, now you're going to be able to move that money around into other investments and syndications and park it and actually earn a yield while it's sitting there. But you also can move it again and again and again as you decide or get exposed to. So somebody wants to buy a commercial entity and they offer you a position in that commercial acquisition. It's a $20 million acquisition. You put in your $100,000 as accredited investor, and you own the percentage that $100,000 represents to the ownership of that property. And they do all the books, they do all the taxes, and they will send you your annual yields and your annual income and also your annual tax breaks. They'll do all that for you. Those companies are out there. They basically leverage accredited investor money to benefit you and their portfolio. That's a great goal to be. And it's basically, you just have to have a net worth of $1 million, and it can't be your own home. You got to be making $200,000 a year with your wife or spouse and do that consistently. Those are pretty much the 2 main things you have to be able to say yes to. Otherwise, you're going to get exposed to things that, and start asking for them with other investors. You got any accredited investor investments? Because you have clients who may benefit from that same move. That's it. Sorry.
Well, good stuff.
Hey, Brian, you can, so as far as being an accredited investor, it's the threshold is either you have $1 million net worth excluding your primary home, or you show that you've made over 200 grand for the last like 2 years in a row, you can become an accredited investor from that too.
Yeah,
So you don't
correct.
have to have $1 million like sitting in the bank or whatever.
Yeah. And it's an excellent opportunity to leverage.
That's great. Of course, you will get, like I do, 624,000 calls a year from people selling stock, trying to sell you everything under the sun.
Exactly.
Yeah, I get them every day. Cam, you're up, bud.
All right, Mitch, I'm going to be quick because I know this is your topic, so I want you to talk about it a little bit. This is the plan that has created 7 millionaires in my group, literally out of their commissions. The first thing is you got to get incorporated. There's a reason you have to get incorporated because you have to start taking advantage of the advantages that come when you have an EIN number, which is it's unlimited. There's so much stuff you can do. But for every agent out there that's selling homes, we're turning their time into money. That's commissions. Once you've done that, now you need to turn your money into more money, which is how we're doing it here. Once you get incorporated, you need to have separate bank accounts. You need to have your business account. You need to have your personal account. As soon as you make any dollar on anything, it needs to be split. And here's our split to become a millionaire in 4 years. 28% goes into an account that's just for taxes. Okay, 28% only goes into taxes. 22% goes back into your marketing account, back into your business. That means 50% of your money goes back into your business. Yes, this is how it's hard. You got to live on ramen for a few years, but then you make a lot of money. Okay, 28% to taxes, 22% to marketing in your business. 30% goes to you, but it has to go directly into some type of investment account, meaning that 30% of every commission goes into what we call DCA, dollar cost averaging. Doesn't matter the cost of the stock, doesn't matter the cost of the commodity. When you get the commission, you put it into it. You do that all the time. If it goes up, great. If it goes down, great. You're continually averaging what you are cost average, right? So 30% goes into your personal investing account. If the investment is guaranteeing or it's saying that it's going to earn you more than 15%, it is a scam. That's just my experience. I've invested hundreds of thousands of dollars trying to make millions. And every time that they try to tell me I'm going to make 20, 25, 30%, it's a scam. Okay. Slow over time is what works. It's just the truth when it comes to personal investing. There's no get rich quick scheme. If there was, we sure as heck wouldn't be on this panel telling you guys how to do it. We'd all be millionaires. So remember, small amounts are realistic. That's what you should be expecting. The last is your 20% of every commission check. You have to live on 20% of your commission check. That goes into your personal account. That's what you live on. You buy your food, you pay your mortgage, you pay your bills. If 20% isn't enough for you to live, get on the phones, get out on the streets, make more commissions. That's the only options. You can't become financially independent without making money. If you're not lucky or if you're not, I'm going to make fun of you guys. If you're not a boomer, right? You didn't be able to buy homes for $200,000, $100,000, $50,000. God bless you guys. We got to buy homes for $600,000, $700,000. It's really hard for us to have those advantages that people that were in the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s had those opportunities. This is how it works for us, though, is if you put 30% of your money for taxes, 20% of your money back into your business, 30% of your money into your personal investing, and 20% to live on, in 4 years, if you bust your ass, you will have a huge investment portfolio. Now, when you sell those, you got to pay taxes on them. That's the negative, right? So you need to make sure you have your Roth IRAs that you put, what is it, $7,500, $8,000 into now. Those are going to be tax-free. Those should be like $2 million when you're 55 years old. I highly, highly, highly recommend for younger people like myself, for your 30% that you're putting into your personal investment, half of that should be into crypto. Sorry, you guys. I just believe that. The banks are just as like out there as crazy as crypto people. And it truly, in my opinion, the banks now own crypto in terms of the fact that they're hedging it and they sell options on it. And they got all this stuff going on with the crypto thing. I see there's more upside in crypto than there is in Coca-Cola, as crazy as that sounds, right? If I'm going to invest in the stock market, because again, I'm a slow growth person, I want to invest in index funds. I want to make sure that I got part of Apple and Google and Microsoft and Coca-Cola and Marlboro and all that stuff, right? Well, how do we really feel about Coca-Cola? I'll give you, how do we really feel about these companies? How are they working forward? For me, I'm a little unsure. I think, Brian, you said, we don't even know what's going to go on. Like, it's going crazy. We're taking over countries. Woo, scary. What I do know is that the idea of crypto is it's supposed to be the blanket of that. Okay. That's the whole idea behind it. And for me personally, if you look behind, I have 3 monitors. The top one here has a crypto tracker. That's a ticker. that sits up there all day long. And that's where I like to look at my money, because when it goes down by 40%. You invest your money. When it goes up by 400%. That's what we're trying to do. The goal is to end up with more money. Matt, you said don't work so hard. That's funny, because one of my challenges right now, and this is something I've been going through, I'll call it depression, is I feel like I'm financially stable, but I have nothing I want to go do. I went to Bora Bora. I went all over the world. I traveled. I had that overwater bungalow. I did the things. I got an 800 horsepower race car. I got all that shit. My challenge is like, what do I go do now? And that's a different part, right? You got to have fun. You got to live life. But I'm a super conservative person, and that's why I've set it up so I can go do that stuff. My challenge now is I got to go do it and have fun. But that's what I got. Mitch, take it over. This is your topic, man. Freedom is all about you. So I want to hear.
Wait a second. Cam,
Okay,
what
go ahead.
crypto should we all invest in? That's the $1 million question. XRP?
So you really want to know, Matt, what I think?
Yes, I do.
I think SUI, SUI is a great coin. It's a startup about 2 years ago. I like the Solana blockchain because there's a lot of stuff that has been moved on Solana. XRP is this is realistic, okay? If you're talking about like cryptocurrencies at brokerages, XRP is the EXP. It's the best spread. It's the most widely known. They got, live events. Heck, my mother even knows about XRP. That's valuable. That's valuable stuff. I think you should be diversified. That's my opinion. Mitch, take it over though. I think you need.
I'll give you a quickie on that. So stay tuned, because I'm about to change the entire token world in the real estate world. Coming soon to your store near you. I'm only going to talk about a couple of things that are really, really, really important. First of all, I was very blessed to make my first million at 23 years old. And my best friend's dad at the time was worth about $100 million. Big old Italian guy, owned hotels and shopping plazas, made a fortune. He goes, Mitch, now that you're making money, this is what you want to do. And by the way, I didn't listen to him. I was having a ball, partying, having a great time. I was 23 years old. I even had hair. So he goes, I want you to buy one house a year for the next 20 years. At the end of 20 years, I want you to sell the first 7 and pay off the other 13, and then you're done. The best advice that I did not listen to. And I kick myself in the ass every single day because I didn't listen to him. Now, I'm a spender. I am not a saver. Again, I said at the beginning of this, my parents died very young. I mean, I'm 65 and in incredible health. I'll probably chop dead on the call. But but the reality is you're gonna die. I'm gonna die soon, right? I mean, even 15 or 20 years if I'm lucky. So my belief is you need to save, but at some point you need to get to a point where you spend. And depending on your goals, like my goal is not to leave my money to my kids. I told my kids minus 57. Like, what's that, Dad? I go, that's what you're gonna have left when I'm dead. You're gonna get minus $57. Now, luckily, I've got a house, I've got an office building, I've got a lot of money coming in from EXP. They're gonna get all that too. So the one home a year was the best thing I ever did. Leveraging my 401k was probably the smartest thing I've done, and I didn't do it till about 10 years ago. So I've been doing this for 25 years, and I've been self-employed for 45 years. But in the 10 years, what is it, like 25, 30, 26, I don't even know my account does all this stuff. I mean, $26,000 a year you get to invest for nothing. You don't see that. It's $500 a week, right? $500, yeah, $500 a week. You don't miss that. Well, I mean, if you're only making $500 a week, you miss it. But so yes, like Cam said, you need to sell some shit. But the reality is take money off the top. If you're with EXP, you're not doing the 5%. You got to do that because it's huge. I mean, I've got from that. I don't sell a lot, probably. I've got about I think 14,000 shares of stock, which is great. And when I need a few extra bucks, I like to buy my wife a $5,000 pocketbook. I don't get it, but by the way, her pocketbook investments have made more money than all my investments combined. I didn't believe when she told me that. She bought a Chanel a couple of years ago for $3,400, like a year ago, 2 years ago. It's worth $5,000 now. I'm like, phenomenal investment. I told her, you go buy as many pocketbooks as you want. You'll have to sell them when I'm dead. The other thing, and I used to kind of be against incorporating as a realtor because it's a pain in the ass, but I'm not anymore. You should definitely, as a realtor, you can write off almost everything anyways, as I do. Go ahead, Cam.
You got to also, if you incorporate, you need to get a business credit card. start running all your money through that business credit card, you guys. It'll open up so many awesome opportunities that you can use points, and you're spending it anyways.
So the next thing I'll just get into this. So the one thing some of you guys are newer agents, and I want to give you this advice from day one. And by the way, it took me a year before I did this because no one told me this, and I should have known better. Separate, and again, you don't have to incorporate. You just need a separate bank account with a separate credit card that is just your business stuff. Now I tell people 30% to the IRS. It's going to be less, but save 30% towards your marketing when you're starting out, and 40% to pay yourself. Thanks, Tim. So those are really, really important. But the most important thing is understand you can write off everything. Right? And we'll get the extra sound from.
Brian, your mic's on.
There you go. Thanks. So being able to write off everything, I write off everything. Like for instance, a lot of people don't understand you can write off 95% of your car's mileage as a realtor. 95%, regardless of what you're doing, because we're always looking at houses. Like when you're driving around, what do we look at? Yeah, I sold that house over there. I sold that house over there, right? So there's always stuff that you have to do. Right? And I gotta hop too because we're 1 o'clock. But anyways, invest, make money. It's a piece of cake. Life's good. See you guys next week.
All right, guys. Cheers.
Good seeing you guys. Yep.